Brew Strong is brought to you by Blickman Engineering, home of the top-tier brewing stand. Visit them online at blickmanengineering.com.
Brewers, it's time for the beer radio you've been looking for. This is the show that dispels myths, tackles the toughest topics, and makes no apologies for geeking out on beer. Hosted by two guys that drink before they think. Jamil Zainasheff and John Palmer. This is Brew Strong.
Hey, howdy, hey, my brewing brothers and sisters.
Greetings, Cretans. It's good to be back.
Yes, my thoughts exactly. It's been a while. I've been on the road. You've been on the road.
Oh, yeah.
Porno Steve's been on the road.
That's right.
Bevo's just been sitting around here doing nothing.
Well,
waiting for us to get back.
She's been on the road to get here. Oh, she can't talk.
Yeah.
It's fine. I'm used to it.
Being left behind.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Still here.
There you go. We count on you. Yep. I went off to Europe and did a wonderful trip through the Netherlands and Sweden and France and England. And then Porno Steve, you went off and played band Guitar Hero in various places.
Austin, Texas. We hit a bunch of places on the way to Austin.
Yeah.
To play South by Southwest. Yes. Oh, no, dude. Tulare.
Oh, Tulare.
Uh-huh.
All right. Tulare, yes.
What did I think of that? Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, it was a ghost town there. It's sad.
Yes. And Palmer, you were off in, Spain? Brazil and
Spain.
There you go.
Yeah.
We are just a bunch of world and Central Valley travelers.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Central Valley, a mysterious.
Good for you guys.
You too could travel to the Central Valley if you wanted to.
Hard pass.
It's not that hard.
But the pass is.
Speaking of hard, how about that great John Blickman?
Oh, yeah.
He's
hard man to keep up with.
Hard man to... Hey, that's better than what I was going to say. He is, a great guy, a great inventor, and a great, a great friend and a great sponsor. And he has been paying for this show, so you don't have to, for, at least 10 years now, I think?
Yeah, about 10 years.
Yeah, that's a long time to be paying for it. That's like, some cable bill.
And he still thinks it's worthwhile.
Well, maybe he just doesn't know. Maybe all that brilliance comes at a cost, and he's just not able to properly evaluate.
He doesn't have common sense.
Yeah, maybe he lacks common sense. Or maybe
our listeners are actually sending him emails at feedback@blickmanengineering.com and letting him know how much they appreciate the show.
There you go. Now you're talking. Yeah, if people do that, then Blickman will keep paying for the show, and then you get the show for free. Yeah.
There you go.
If you don't do that, Blickman stops paying for the show. Nobody can pay for the show. Nobody wants to pay for the show. The show goes away. So all it takes is like a little email, maybe browsing their website and telling them, hey, I checked out the new Riptide pump or the Cornicle or any of those other really cool inventions that he's got. Or if you're going to be in Portland at the conference, you go and you see him and say, hi. Thank you for sponsoring Brew Strong. I really appreciate it. I enjoyed downloading it for free and listening to it. Thank you. And that's all it takes.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do to instead of paying money for the show, that's all you got to do. Send some emails, browse some websites, walk up there and say hi to a very nice person who will chat with you very nicely about whatever you want to chat about on brewing. He's a good guy. So check it out, blickmanengineering.com, or send an email to feedback@blickmanengineering.com, or see him at the conference. All right, today we are talking about adjuncts. Yeah,
Indeed.
I've always, it's interesting to me that it's not like I've been in craft beer for 100 years. I've been in craft beer since like '99, and I've seen, from back then, it was kind of like, oh, no. We don't brew with any adjuncts. Every brew is like, oh, no adjuncts, please. It's all Reinheitsgebot. It's all, yeast and water and malt and hops, and I'll never put anything else in there ever. And a big reason for it was, adjuncts were thought of as rice at Budweiser, corn at Coors, anything that,
cheap big beer was the thought.
Right. Even though a lot of times rice is more expensive than barley malt, or corn is more expensive, it still was thought, well, that's just, not the kind of beer I want to make. I will never use adjuncts. It had a bad reputation, even though a lot of, like, the Belgian brewers were doing, candy sugar and things like that, which is also an adjunct.
That's right.
But, fast forward, what is it, 20 years? I don't know, something like that, 15 years. And there's fruits, there's sugars, there's different grains, there's all sorts of crap being thrown in beers now, and that's what's exciting to people. People don't want just a really well-made pale ale. They don't want a really well-made, Märzen. They don't want, they want something fancy.
They want a New England-style strawberry milkshake.
Right, with lactose.
IPA.
Yeah, exactly.
Lactose
and fruit and... Yeah. It's amazing to me how radically it's changed in just this short period of time.
That's right. But, it's a matter, and what I'm trying to say is that adjuncts can make beer interesting. And that's the real name of the game. Creating interesting, flavorful beer, not just thin beer, cheap beer.
Right.
It's creating interesting beer. And that's what today's adjuncts are all about.
Yeah, it can be used for anything. I mean, if you want a beer to come out lighter in malt character, adjuncts. You want it to be heavier in malt character. You want to add all these other flavors. It's, all of that's possible. And
in fact, there's very few beer styles that are adjunct free.
Right. It's a tool.
It is.
Right? It's a tool in your arsenal to do something. It isn't necessarily a bad thing anymore. It's just something that you use as a brewer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, different kinds of hops.
Better beer.
Yeah. All right. So, John, why don't you start us off? Define for us what an adjunct is.
Well, an adjunct is basically any non-enzymatic, fermentable, or starch source or sugar that is added to the wort. We say non-enzymatic to distinguish it from a malt. So, for example, roast barley is not malted. That's an adjunct. Raw wheat or flaked wheat are both adjuncts. So are flaked oats, flaked rye. All your flaked grains really are, they're pre-cooked, but to some degree by flaking. But those are adjuncts that you would put in the mash
because they have no enzyme activity. If you were to soak them in water, you're just getting wet
themselves.
You're getting wet material. You're not getting any sort of a conversion to sugar.
Right. They're just a starch source that the enzymes in the malt, in the barley malt, can then take advantage of and break down into sugars.
Okay.
And then you have your refined sugars that can be anything from table sugar, sucrose, to Belgian candy sugar, less refined sugars like molasses, milk sugar, lactose. What's the other one? Honey is another good example. Lots of different sugars that use as adjuncts. Pardon?
Fruits.
Oh, yes, and fruits, of course.
Vegetables?
Vegetables, squash, pumpkin beers, that's an adjunct. Potatoes, a great adjunct. all kinds of fermentable or potentially fermentable starches and sugars are adjuncts.
Okay, and if it's not potentially fermentable, if it's some sort of herb or some sort of spice or something like that, or I don't know what else, rocks, those would be
strictly flavorings or say like gelatin are just simply additives. Processing aids. Spices are flavor additives. They are not adjuncts because they're not fermentables. They're not a source of fermentation.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. That's a good way to think of categorizing things.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do this. Let's take a short break, and when we come back, I want to kind of dive into some of the popular adjuncts that you might use, and how you might start using those in your beers. We'll be back right after this.
The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
Do you like beer? They make beer.
Watch out!
Do you like friends and fun? They make friends and fun.
Watch out!
Do you still like to have a good time? The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
The 21st Amendment in San Francisco, located at 563 2nd Street, 2 blocks from the building where baseball is seen and played. Try their beers in the pub or try them in the can, featuring
Monk's Blood.
Made with real monk.
Watch out!
So why not have the best time of your life? Go to the 21A and Sean O'Sullivan will personally greet you with a can of
Monk's Blood. The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
This advertisement is not in any way affiliated nor associated with the 21st Amendment Bar and Pub, nor its subsidiaries or affiliates. This telecast is not copywritten by the 21st Amendment for the private use of the Brewing Network. Any use of this telecast without Jamil Zainashev's consent is prohibited. Suck it, JP.
Your support of the Brewing Network means everything to us. We couldn't produce shows without you. And we love giving you something extra for that support, like Brew Your Own magazine. You already know it's a great brewing magazine full of recipes, equipment how-tos, discussions of beer styles, and brewing techniques. Whether you're new to brewing and just starting out or you're an old pro, you'll always learn something from the articles in Brew Your Own. Plus, they're amazing special issues like plans for building a Brutus 10 system, 250 classic clone recipes, and the Homebrewer's Answer Book. Brew Your Own magazine and BYO.com are awesome resources for any brewer, whether for yourself or as a gift. When you subscribe or resubscribe from the Brewing Network homepage, you directly support programs like this. Get a great magazine and support the Brewing Network. Subscribe to Brew Your Own right from the BrewingNetwork.com.
Are you a member of the White Labs Customer Club? If not, you should be. It's the easiest way to earn free stuff for turning in your old homebrew labels from either Vials or Pure Pitch. All you have to do is save your labels and redeem them for things like free yeast, an exclusive White Labs t-shirt or sweatshirt, and even the opportunity to brew with the yeast man himself, Chris White. Signing up is easy. Just go to whitelabs.com/customer club, fill out the registration form, and then mail in your labels. They will return the favor by sending you awesome White Labs swag. Go sign up today at whitelabs.com/customer club. White Labs, pure yeast and fermentation since 1995. Since 1979, Williams Brewing has offered the finest equipment and freshest ingredients and the best customer service in the business. Check out their brand new patent-pending Mash and Boil 110-volt electric mashing and boiling unit. This compact all-stainless unit lets you mash, sparge, and boil just about anywhere that has a 110-volt plug. Double-wall construction adds to efficiency and safety, and a precise thermostat keeps temperatures where you want them. Unlike insulated buckets and converted coolers, multiple temperature rest mashing is easy to do, all for under $300. They also feature the Mark II work pump, a magnetic drive high-temperature pump that does the work of pumps that cost twice as much, as well as exclusive Brewer's Edge regulators and quality Keg King kegs and disconnects. Check them out today at williamsbrewing.com to brews their vast selection.
Do you know the three most important rules in brewing: sanitation, sanitation, and sanitation. And no one does it better than 5-Star Chemicals. 5-Star knows sanitation. You can only sanitize clean equipment. And 5-Star knows how to clean, too. For craft brewers and home brewers, 5-Star has what you need to keep your fermenters, serving tanks, kegs, and draft lines sparkling and free of any beer-spoiling bacteria. PBW, caustic, acid cleaners, Star Sand, SaniClean, lubricants and defoamers, pH stabilizers, and more. 5-Star Chemicals has cleaning supplies, safety supplies, heat exchangers, pumps, hoses, and valves. And 5-Star is proud to offer eco-friendly products that exceed customer expectations. If you have a cleaning problem, you need the 5-Star solution. Visit 5starchemicals.com or call 800-782-7019. 800-782-7019 and get the 5-Star treatment today.
Back to the beer guys that make other beer guys look like wine guys. Brew Strong.
We're back. Talking about driving the big rolling turd out to Portland with Justin.
You still have your motorhome, eh?
Justin has it. The big rolling turd. But he's saying he's going to take like a week to get out there, and I don't know if I can afford that time. So I was thinking of flying.
Yeah, it's such a short plane hop.
Yeah.
Unless the engine explodes.
Right. Yeah, unless the engine explodes. Then it's that's inconvenient.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was saying he might continue on from there. Maybe I'll go with him there. I don't know. We'll see. I'd love to. I just don't have the time. Oh, time. The thing we're all running out of. All right, so back to adjuncts.
Yes, those things.
Right, so let's, should we kind of categorize these into, a couple of categories? Like, the sugars, the fruits, the fruits and vegetables maybe, and the flake grains or the grain-based adjuncts. Yeah.
Yeah, you got your starch sources that need to be mashed, and then you have your sugar sources that can maybe need to go into the mash, but they could probably just be used in the fermenter as well. Mm-hmm. Hot side versus cold side.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the other cereal grains is probably a good place to start and get those out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
You have barley and sorry, just getting over cold.
Mm-hmm.
You have your barley, which is a very popular cereal grain for malting. We did a malting malts show a little while back, a couple months ago, I guess. But the thing that makes barley good for malting is the fact it has a husk, and which helps it maintain some fluffiness and fluidity in the grain bed, whereas other grains such as wheat don't, and they're a little bit more trouble to lauter because the mash tends not to flow as well. So you normally crush up your grain and soak it in hot water. The enzymes in the grain would then take over and slowly convert those starches to sugars. But when you have an unmalted grain, then you still have that protein carbohydrate matrix around those starches, which makes it hard to convert. It takes a long time. So really, you've got to get that starch source broken out either by grinding it up or something, and then solubilized in the water so that the enzymes can have access to it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where the concept of gelatinization comes into play. With barley, the gelatinization temperature is between 60 and 65 degrees C, which is like 135 to 149 degrees Fahrenheit, a little somewhere in there. And in that temperature range, that's where these starches become well hydrated and become soluble in the water, and now they're accessible by the enzymes.
Mm-hmm.
In the case of other cereal grains like wheat and rye, their solubilization temperatures are pretty close to barley, so you can add these flaked adjuncts directly to the mash, and they will go into solution. The enzymes will convert them into sugars. Mm-hmm. Wheat is similar to barley, 58 to 64 degrees Celsius, 135 to 147, so very similar to barley. Rye is a little bit higher in its final temperature, a little broader range, 135 to 158 degrees Fahrenheit, or 57 to 70 C. Oats is, again, similar, 135 F to 162 degrees Fahrenheit, or 57 to 72 degrees C. Now, that higher gelatinization temperature means that if you add these adjuncts, in the raw, crushed up state, mm-hmm. directly to the mash, mm-hmm. and you only took your mash to, let's say, 65 degrees C or 150, mm-hmm. There would be a portion of those starches in that cereal that really would not ever become hydrolyzed and soluble. So you wouldn't get the extract from that starch. Mm-hmm. It would just stay hard and stay out of solution. And the way you address that is by cooking it first. And that's what we do with higher temperature grains like sorghum, corn, and rice. These generally need to be pre-cooked in what we call a cereal cooker or pot on the stove. Mm-hmm. And excuse me. And you go through the steps of actually cooking them and making them soft and squishy mm-hmm. before you add them to your mash. Mm-hmm. And that way you can just add them right in, stir them in. There's good access to the starches, and you'll get full extract from those grains.
It's essentially just kind of wetting the starch molecules or getting water next to the starch molecules so that the enzymes can attack those molecules and break them up.
Yeah,
turn
the
them to
starch
sugar.
Chains can kind of unwind a bit, get better access for the enzymes, and then the enzymes can start nipping off the sugars. Mm-hmm. So barley, wheat, and rye, and oats, if you were going to add them raw and crushed up, then they would probably convert pretty well in the mash. Mm-hmm. But the most popular form for adding these as adjuncts is in the flaked form. Mm-hmm. And what is flaking? Well, it's a process known as torrefication. And what you do there is you take the grain and you steam it to cook it, and then when the grain has been cooked by steaming, you roll it between a couple of rollers to flatten it out, increase its surface area, and then you dry it, and that produces flaked grains, like your flaked oats that you eat for breakfast in the morning.
Those have already been pre-gelatinized.
They've all been pre-gelatinized, pre-cooked by this steaming and flaking process. Mm-hmm. And the flaking process is nice because it gives that kernel more surface area, again, giving better access for the enzymes to the starch when it's in your mash.
Just and like crushing grain makes the starch more accessible to the mash.
Exactly. Now, as I was mentioning, corn and rice, which are, the most widely used adjuncts for brewing, mm-hmm. Their gelatinization temperatures are higher and really, above or mostly above typical mash temperatures for barley. So this is where the use of a cereal cooker or a separate mm-hmm. Pot in the brewery comes into play. And, when you're trying to pre-cook mass quantities of corn and rice, like 10 barrels worth. Mm-hmm. This is when you would add some portion of barley malt to that cooker, because then the enzyme action, a protease rest and amylase rest will all help break up those starches and release those starches, and allow them to cook faster than just simply boiling alone. Boiling, a couple tons of corn is pretty energy intensive. So to cut back on that energy use, that's when they add some barley and let the enzymes do part of the work. But for brewing at home, you don't need to really worry about adding barley or malt to the cooking process. Simply, throw it in a pot on the stove, put the rice in your rice cooker, cook it as usual, and then take that cooked grain and add that directly to your mash.
Seems a lot easier just to throw in some flake grains. Yeah.
It's and I've had several adjunct beers over the years. I mean, both as homebrew and at microbreweries. Our good friends, the Hudacheks, made a rice IPA a few years ago at their Oktoberfest party that was very delicious. I mean, for a double IPA, instead of using corn sugar to thin the body, they added rice. And it made for a very good double IPA. So,
what sort of percentage do they use?
I don't recall. It was probably 10-15%, somewhere in there, probably 15.
All right. What sort of percentages do you think people are generally using in some of these adjuncts?
Well, it depends on the style. I think for beers such as double IPA, where you're looking to just thin the body a bit, somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 15, maybe even 20%. If you're going for a higher adjunct beer, like an American light lager, classic American pills, something like that, 25% is a more typical number. For just
for something like rye, I've heard people doing 95% rye beer. Turns out gluey and snotty and doesn't pour well, but
yeah.
I have a quick question from the chat pertaining to the rice. I just wanted to go back to it really fast. Granulated instant cereals like cream of rice, cream of wheat, can those be added to the mash?
Oh, yeah. The problem with cereals is that, and especially in the case of cream of wheat, it's iron fortified. So you may end up with, a significant trace amount of iron in the beer. Iron and other transition metals such as copper, manganese, and so on. If they make it into the cold side of the beer, they will act as catalysts for oxidation reactions and impact flavor stability. So I would not recommend necessarily a commercial breakfast cereal that's been iron fortified, but certainly something more pristine or more organic, I suppose, if you will, from like a health food store that doesn't have the fortification, would probably be more appropriate and work quite well.
Well, and your homebrew shop, you want to support them as well. If you're only saving a few cents on something, I would suggest that maybe it's better to pick it up at the homebrew shop and get the flake grains that they sell. A place like Great Fermentations out in Indiana, they have the best selections. They got the most Blickman gear on the web of anybody, and the most knowledge behind it. Great shop, clean, well run, great people, great customer service, quick shipping on most items. A wealth of knowledge, really good people. You can check them out at greatfermentations.com. You can like them on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the social things that steal all your information. You can You can like them on that at GR8 Fermentation. Yeah, good people. Check them out. Good sponsor. Great homebrew shops. I've been there. John's been there. We know of what we speak. Well, and I also want to mention GrogTag. I don't know. Have you checked out GrogTag recently?
I haven't. No, but I know their good work from many years past.
Well, all right. Apparently they've lost their minds because they say Norman Bates said it best: a boy's best friend is his mother. And while we can't say we agree 100%, we do think this year Mom deserves something cool and custom from GrogTag for Mother's Day. Go to grogtag.com and shop from hundreds of templates covering all kinds of products that you can modify and make your very own. From coasters of your baby pictures to beer and wine labels with last year's family reunion on them, to metal signs of our grandchildren. They have it all. Mother's Day is on May 13th, so start creating over at grogtag.com and use the code BNARMY to save 10% on your order. That's at grogtag.com. All right, let's take another short break, and when we come back, one of the things a lot of times people are asking is, things like, there's a lot of beta-glucans in there. Do I need a beta-glucan rest? Do I need protein rest? What kind of other rests do people need with these adjuncts? And what are the adjuncts? Can they just steep with if they want to steep with partial mash with extract? Right. I mean, how do they go about that? All right, let's cover that when we come back right after this.
Hey, my brewing brothers and sisters. This is Jamil Zainashev, and I want to tell you about Heretic Evil Twin. You might be familiar with my homebrew recipe, which uses massive late hopping to create a balance between the malty sweet and the hoppy bitter, along with an outrageous malt and hop character. I wanted a beer with the same bold hop and malt character, so we played around with the homebrew recipe until we were able to make a great commercial version too. We've created a beer rich in malt character, full of caramel, toast, biscuit, and an ever so subtle roast note. On top of that, we piled in an insane amount of Citra and Columbus hops at the end of the boil, as well as in dry hopping. This damn-the-cost approach to hopping gives Heretic's Evil Twin a great blast of citrus and tropical fruit that can't be matched by any other hop. The result is a bold, malty, hoppy, but easy-drinking beer. This is our top seller, our flagship beer, and I couldn't be prouder of it. Cheers.
To find Heretic beers near you, click on Find Some at hereticbrewing.com.
Ken Grossman of Sierra Nevada Brewing Company says making great beer is hard. Making the same great beer every day is harder. Brewers Publications announces its latest release for breweries of any type and size. Quality Management, an essential guide for brewers by Mary Pelletieri. Proper quality management for small, regional, and national breweries is critical. Whether you are an established business or brand new, learn the best ways to create and manage a quality system in your brewery. This book will guide you in developing a comprehensive program that will grow with your brewery, help ensure quality processes in the brewery, and continue providing great beer for your fans. Quality management for breweries is critical for continued success. This guidebook teaches you to integrate quality management in every level of the operation. It will guide you in developing a comprehensive program to ensure quality processes in your brewery. Quality Management, an essential guide for brewers, now available from Brewers Publications. Learn more at brewerspublications.com. If you work in retail sales, the restaurant industry, or are a new craft beer enthusiast, or you know someone who is, you have got to check out Beer 101. Beer 101 is an online course created for anyone wanting a quick introduction to the vast world of craft beer. Beer 101 covers the history of beer, brewing ingredients and processes, vital stats like ABV, SRM, IBU, and gravity, styles, tasting, glassware, and pairing beer with food. The Beer 101 course is offered by the Brewers Association at craftbeer.com. Also home to the truly awesome Beer Style Finder, a visual guide to every beer style. Quickly play with color, bitterness, and alcohol content to interactively explore the entire world of beer styles with a gorgeously designed interface to your favorite beverage. The new Beer 101 course and new Beer Style Finder are only available at craftbeer.com. Craftbeer.com, celebrating the best of American beer.
back to the two guys that know how to turn beer into beer. This is Brew Strong.
Hey, you know.
What?
You and I, we're both going to be at the Homebrewers Conference in Portland.
That's right. Can't wait.
Coming up end of June. Yeah. We're going to have a blast of a time. You, me, and Tasty McDowell, we're going to do a panel together.
That's right, we are.
Yeah, some fun. We're going to sign some books. I don't know. Are we going to be doing a show at the, you know?
I don't know. It's always hard to find time. But.
Yes. Why not?
Right. I would love to.
I say yes.
Yeah.
Just need to bring
I'm sure we can make that happen.
Are we going to be taking equipment up there? Is that going to happen?
I think so, yeah.
Is Justin planning on doing something?
Well, therein lies the question.
Depends on how he feels.
So, John, it might be you and I sitting around my phone and
doing a live, like a Facebook Live.
Right. We'll just have everybody dial into a conference call, and we'll just do it over the phone. I think that's
no. I think he and I had spoken about it briefly, and I'm pretty sure we're both intending to set something up while we're there. We just need to work out your schedules.
Okay.
Okay.
That sounds good. So we'll do a show, too. So you should make your way out there. This is all, of course, thanks to the AHA that's been putting on this conference for, it's got to be like close to 40 years now.
Oh, and, started, I think, in 79, I remember right, or somewhere thereabouts.
Coming up on 40 years, and I tell you, everyone I've been to has been absolutely fantastic. I wouldn't miss it for anything. It is the best beer event you are ever going to go to. If you like beer and brewing beer, there is no better event in the world relating to beer than the conference. It's just the people are wonderful. You get to share beers, talk stories, learn new techniques, find new gear, explore new. I mean, it's just wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, talking with like-minded people.
Yes. And it's going to be end of June, and get yourself. They're signing people up now, and you do not want to miss out. So hotels are available. Portland's a great city. It's easy to get to. It's easy to get around Portland. Even if you don't have a car there, you can just jump on the Met. Takes you most of the places you ever want to go. There's Uber or Lyft. All that stuff is available. Zip cars. Great city to explore. Lots of great breweries. Lots of great restaurants. Just an amazing place. And you should get yourself there. Go to the AHA website and sign up for the conference now. We want to see you out there. And it's just one of those benefits of membership, the AHA conference. So check it out today. Let's see, where were we? We're talking about rests. All right, so a lot of times people say, hey, do I need a beta-glucan rest? Do I need a protein rest? Do I need a ferulic acid rest?
Sometimes you just need a restraining order.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. I mean, what? I don't have more than 5 tops against me.
That's right. Glad you brought that up, because beta-glucan, for those that you haven't heard of that word before, this is a polysaccharide. It is a type of sugar starch molecule. It's a pentosan rather than a hexamer. In other words, it has 5 sugar units instead of 6. And these polysaccharides, as they're generally known, are very gummy, and they make the wort more viscous. And that can be a problem when you're trying to lauter your mash, trying to drain the wort from the grain bed. So what we do is we use what we call a beta-glucan rest, that around 135 degrees Fahrenheit, if I remember correctly. Crack open how to brew real quick. Where is that mashing section? Right here in the middle.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, sorry. Where did I put it at? That's not the page. There we go. Beta-glucanase. Okay.
Lower?
Much lower.
198 to 113 or something like that?
Yeah, 104 to 118 Fahrenheit. Does go down as low as 68 and as high as 122. So it is, it is below your protein rests. Your protein rests are the ones that are up around 130. And so let me convert this to C quickly. That would be 40 to 48 degrees C. And a rest for about 15, 20 minutes at these temperatures will break up those gums and really improve the flow of your wort. So, very good practice.
But how important is that if you don't care about the flow of your wort? What if you're batch sparging and you got all the time in the world, or you're brewing a bag, or something like that? I mean, is having the beta glucans whole in your beer a problem?
Well, it really doesn't do you any favors. In terms of
what if
there's
you want a gluey gummy
benefit.
beer?
Yeah, but it doesn't really do you any benefit to have whole beta glucans floating around your wort. So even if you're brewing a bag, you're going to get better extraction, better yield from your mash if you do a beta glucanase rest. Now. A beta-glucanase rest probably is not necessary if you're using between 5 and 10% of rye or oats or something like this. Usually those levels can get by just fine without any changes. If you're going higher than 10%, say between 10 and 20, you're probably going to want to start adding rice hulls. And rice hulls are simply the husks from rice. They're inert in the mash, but they will provide extra
filtering
spacing, filtering capability and spacing, and keeping that mash from compacting and clogging up.
Yeah, I always found I didn't need any hulls till I got well past 30%. Even commercially, we're doing 25% oats, and
you're still able
fine.
to buy.
Yeah. So it's going to depend on
it's
going to depend on the equipment, of course.
Okay.
I don't do any other rests. All right. One more question on glucans. Is there an alpha glucan?
Not that I'm aware of.
I mean, I just jumped right to beta. Really?
Yeah. I don't know gamma ones either, as far as I know, but there might be. I'm not a molecular biologist, so there may be other things that I don't know about.
Right.
It's happened before.
There you go. All right. Now, what about the refined sugars? What about the cane sugar, molasses, honey? Things like that. What about those things that you might add to a recipe?
Well, honey is a good one to start with. Honey and sucrose. These are simple sugars that simply add sugar to the wort. They'll up your alcohol.
Because they're almost always fully fermentable.
Yeah, they're completely fermentable. They don't add any protein. They will add some flavors to the beer. I mean, from the production of byproducts, just like normal fermentation does. But you won't get, residual flavor compounds from those like you would from your specialty malts or from less refined sugars like molasses. Molasses definitely has a flavor to it. Honey can have a flavor into the beer, but because it is so completely fermentable, it is simply fructose and small amounts of other glucose and sucrose, that it's 100% fermentable, and a lot of the volatiles that you can smell when you sniff honey will be essentially scrubbed out of the beer during fermentation.
Is sniffing honey anything like sniffing glue? Or?
No, although it can be just as irritating to your nasal passages.
There you go. No, like liver damage, brain damage.
No.
Okay.
Although if the bee gets stuck in there, then that can be a real problem.
Okay. All right. What sort of percentages of these simple sugars does one use?
Yeah, again, you're in that same ballpark, anywhere 20, maybe even 30%, or lower to 10%, depending on the kind of character you want that you make in your beer. If you're thinning the body for like a double IPA, 10, 15. If you're trying to simply get some color and maybe or a little bump in alcohol, again, 10, 15. If you're going for something that has a significant portion of sugar, like a Belgian triple, that would be more. That would be 20, 25 kind of numbers.
Well, and one thing that I always found was a lot of the simple sugars don't have a whole lot of flavor, but there are some that are more flavor than they are sugar. So something like molasses, you tend to get a lot more flavor from a small amount, and there's really not a huge amount of sugar in there for fermentation.
Yeah, and I mean, it's tempting. A lot of new brewers will pick up molasses and other invert sugar syrups, Lyle's golden syrup. What is it? There's Mexican sugar cones, which the name escapes me at the moment. Other palm sugars. Randy Mosher's book, Radical Brewing, has a really good discussion of different brewing sugars that you can experiment with. That will contribute, interesting flavors to your beer. I don't have a palate for a lot of those interesting flavors myself, but many people do. So, feel free to experiment with those.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and I think, a lot of times with those sugars, people, believe that it's going to add this huge, difference in, flavor between one and the other. I mean, like the clear candy sugar versus just using some beet sugar. I really can't find much of a difference between the two. It's really more, in the imagination, I think. And the thing that really makes a huge difference is yeast. The type of yeast you use is really, and some of them will accentuate more character of the adjuncts you use, and some will do less. I'll tell you one tool for figuring out what you want to use is White Labs. They've introduced a mobile app, and if you're a home brewer searching for your next strain, a professional brewer placing an order, White Labs mobile app has something for everyone. Key features include an easy-to-navigate ordering system, custom culture calculator to determine the appropriate pitch rates, homebrew store locator up-to-the-minute inventory availability, and more. So you can download the new White Labs mobile app for iPhone or Android by searching White Labs in the App Store or the Play Store today. All right, let's take our final break, and when we get back, let's wrap up our discussion of roots and vegetables when we come back after this.
Are you looking for a simple brewing system that's great for all grain brewing, but everything on the market seems to be full of compromises? Blickman Engineering has the answer. The Blickman Brew Easy All Grain Brewing System. The Brew Easy is a complete system with easy upgrades and a beautiful compact design, perfect for any size brewing location. At its core, the Brew Easy is built on two gorgeous Blickman Boilermaker brew kettles, a high-temperature March pump, and either a top-tier gas burner or the new Boil Coil electric heater. The Brew Easy adapter lid allows the pots to stack on top of each other, forming an efficient, strong, and compact brewing setup that comes in 5, 10, and 20-gallon batch sizes. Upgrade your Brew Easy system with full automated control by adding a Blickman Tower of Power temp controller, and make moving around easy with the Blickman Kettle Cart. The Brew Easy is modular. If you already own a Boilermaker kettle, you can build your Brew Easy by purchasing just the modules you need. The new Brew Easy all-grain brewing system. See it today at BlickmanEngineering.com and brew with Blickman quality on your new Brew Easy.
Since the first time the Brewing Network microphones turned on, More Beer was behind it. More Beer sponsors the programming on the BN because, like you, they love brewing. And like the Brewing Network, they love sharing their knowledge. Morebeer.com isn't just a website to place your next equipment or ingredient order. Morebeer.com also gives you access to free beer information that will make you a better brewer. Go to morebeer.com and click into the Learning Center. You'll find podcasts, technical facts, video tutorials, and more, including access to The Buzz, More Beer's social network of more than 5,000 members. And some of them might even be crazier about beer than you are. Get over to morebeer.com today and take advantage of The Buzz, the forum, the Learning Center, and make sure you're signed up to receive the newest More Beer catalog. More Beer, bringing you absolutely everything for beer making.
Learning to brew has never been so disgusting. This is Brew Strong.
All right, we're back. Talking about adjuncts and things like, large cucumbers. Check out adamandeve.com today and get just 50% off just about any item when you type the offer code Jamil.
It's a work call.
JAMIL for the offer code upon checkout. When you do, you get 3 free DVDs, a free extra gift, and free shipping. So all you got to do is use the offer code Jamil at adamandeve.com. You're going to get one item at just almost any item at about 50% off. Free shipping, 3 free DVDs, a free extra gift. You can't go wrong. Use the offer code Jamil, JAMIL, at adamandeve.com today. All right. Our Vegemumbles.
Yes, fruits and veggies.
Mm-hmm. Fruits and veggies.
Fruits are a good source of flavors and fermentable sugars.
Mm-hmm.
The question that everybody asks is, well, how much is this fruit going to add to the gravity of the beer?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a good question, but it helps. You can kind of estimate it by the weight of the fruit and its Brix value.
Mm-hmm.
And
most of the fruits are relatively low in sugar, unless you get to like wine grapes or something like that. So the Brix is 6 to 10 maybe, and if you're making a small beer, then it can raise the value of the alcohol. But if it's a bigger beer, generally it'll lower it. So it's only certain types of fruit that'll actually raise it. They'll generally lower your alcohol.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And a lot of people will add these fruits to the beer after the first fermentation, do a secondary fermentation with them, which helps preserve some more of their aromas.
Right. One of the things that we've been doing at Heretic recently is we will ferment the fruit by itself, using just cattle ale yeast, whatever, and then we will transfer that into the beer, into the fermented beer. And I feel like we kind of get the best fruit character that way. Interesting.
Okay. Do you add like Fermaid K or other yeast nutrients when you do that?
We haven't needed to. We do a lot of nutrient additions on our yeast and on our worts.
I see. So it's kind of nutriented before.
Yeah, and so we'll just take a portion of yeast out of one of the fermenters and send it over to a tank full of the fruit and let it work the fruit down. And at first I was thinking, it would be an issue with the types of sugars, with the nutrients and all that, but it's actually tends to be such a low ABV and a low Brix solution. I thought, maybe the pH would be too low. All this would stop the yeast, but we haven't found a fruit that the yeast would not ferment at this point. I mean, you ferment grapefruit juice.
Yeah.
All that stuff. Somebody was telling me you could ferment Mountain Dew. I'm thinking, you think all the preservatives and stuff, why would that ferment? It just ferments.
Yeah. It doesn't make it taste any better, but
right. It puts alcohol in it. Yeah. So it's interesting that all these things that, because people just haven't generally done this a lot, or they use wine yeast or something like that. But, most of these fruits that we use, they'll just ferment with tail yeast.
It's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now, have you done a pumpkin beer or, with, vegetable starch sources?
I have. I used to grow pumpkins in my backyard. I would do that. But that I would bake the pumpkins in the oven. So it kind of produce some, more flavor and caramelly. Yeah. Soften them up. And then we'd throw it in the mash.
Yeah. And really, that brings up a really good point when it comes to using these vegetables, root vegetables, and so on, like turnips, potatoes, carrots, etc. Mm-hmm. Cook them first, because again, you're trying to get those starches soluble, and pre-cooking will really greatly increase their extraction in the mash. As you mentioned with the pumpkin, a lot of these vegetables really don't contribute much flavor at all to the beer, unless you do something like toasting them in the oven, for some caramelization and such.
Or use just an insane amount of them.
Yeah.
And then they all need to go into the mash, right?
That's right. They need to go into the mash, so those soluble starches can then be converted to sugars by the malt enzymes.
Well, and now what about our friends that might have, they're doing extract and they want to make an oatmeal stout, or they want to make a dry Irish stout and they want to use flaked barley or flaked oats?
Yeah. The problem with your flaked grains is they are intended to be mashed. They are simply just starch. And adding starch to an extract beer is not really going to accomplish anything unless it's an enzymatic malt extract, which you don't see very often these days. There was a company in the UK that made some a while back, but I really don't see it now. So yeah, you really can't use flaked grains. You can't steep flaked grains like you do specialty grains.
But you could do a little
flavors.
Mini mash. You could take a small
mini
pot,
mash, though, yes.
Heat up some water in there, get some crushed 2-row, throw that in, and then your other grains, and just kind of stir it and mix it. Let it sit there for a while. Don't even really care too much about it. See, eventually the liquid should kind of clear up, and you can then I guess you could throw the whole thing into your other steep, or you could drain it out and just transfer the liquid.
Yeah, this is where brew in a bag method's becoming very handy. Throw these in a small grain bag, or I should say a large grain bag. With the pound or two of base malt and your half pound or pound of oats, rolled oats. That will convert. Heat up your water to around 150 degrees, measure it with your thermometer, that'll make a nice little mini mash there.
Now, what about? I never tried this or thought about it, but what about just a little pot on your stovetop, and you throw the oats in there, and you throw your flake barley in there, and you get it up to 150 or whatever it is, and then you throw in like a Beano tablet or some Beano drops, some alpha amylase or whatever, and use that to kind of break down the starches, and then you could heat it up the rest of the way, kill off the enzymes, and then use that.
Yeah. Beano. I'm not sure of the enzyme spectrum on Beano. I know it will break up raffinose, which I think is like a 5 or 6 chain glucose. I don't know what it'll do as far as producing fermentable sugars.
Well, you might be able to get some appropriate enzyme drops from your local homebrew shop.
Homebrew shop, yeah. There are amylase enzyme preparations on the market now. They're both liquid and powder form. So check those out. Go to your local homebrew shop and ask them for amylase enzymes that you can use. And those will help you do a mini mash on the stove like that.
There you go. All right. Anything else to cover on adjuncts? I know it's kind of a quick whirlwind tour.
Yeah. But, I think embrace the world of adjuncts because really you are greatly expanding the number of different styles of beer that you can produce.
Yeah, it's a great way to enhance your toolkit. Nothing wrong with adjuncts. If you're using adjuncts to cheat in some way, I guess, would be the only time you wouldn't use adjuncts, right? So you're trying to just make a cheaper beer. When you're using an adjunct to improve the quality of your beer, then it's a proper use of an adjunct. And there's no, question about that.
Yeah, so, no need to be shy.
Right. There you go. All right. Good show, John. Great information. If you're listening live, stay tuned. We're going to do a Q&A show that covers bottling, bottle conditioning, a lot of interesting questions around bottling your beer. If you have your own questions, you can send them to Brew Strong at thebrewingnetwork.com, or if you're listening live, you can dial in at 888 something beer.
401 beer.
401 beer. There you go.
401 beer.
And because we got questions last time, I'm just saying. Maybe it'll happen again.
It could happen.
Maybe lightning would strike. We'll see. If you like lightning to keep striking, I would suggest you check out all our fine sponsors: Blickman Engineering, Great Fermentations, White Labs, the AHA, Grog Tag. Check them all out, support them all, and that helps keep this show on the air. You can also go to the Brewing Network store, thebrewingnetwork.com/store, and buy some goodies there, and that also helps the bottom line of the Brewing Network. Till then, everybody, brew strong.
Brew strong, everyone.